Hey there, Original Trilogy fans, this is Westertron. Today we're going to be taking a look at Bandai's SH Figuarts Star Wars Luke Skywalker action figure. This is from the A New Hope movie, which technically is episode 4, but it was the first movie released in 77, I believe. So standard window box packaging, very similar to what we saw with Ant-Man. Down on the front you can see it says Luke Skywalker, some Japanese writing, and it says A New Hope in parentheses. This is under Tamashii Nations, so I assume these are pretty easily available in the US as well. You can see all of his accessories here, which is really nice. I like it when you're able to see everything. That's always really cool. Very slick black packaging with stark white writing, very Star Warsy. You know, sometimes they use the yellow writing, sometimes they use the white, but I think the white looks very nice. They did a good job. Shot of the figure on the side. Down here we've got a little bit of info about the SH Figuarts line and the Disney logo. On the back, shot of Luke on Tatooine, it looks like. Shots with lightsabers, a little bit of shots of the different faces and the accessories. I'm guessing this is like warning and legal jargon down here, and on the bottom you've just got more of the same. So as I said, pretty basic packaging for their Star Wars figures, and very similar to what they've done with their other movie licenses. So let's go ahead and get him out of the box and see what he's like. And here is Luke out of packaging, and as you can see, he poses very well with the training droid up here. You can see it's shooting the blast, and there's a little deflection off the lightsaber. Very, very cool action figure. This guy totally blows away the Hasbro version easily. I added on both of the holding hands so that you could see that he can hold the lightsaber with 2 hands. Just have to be careful with how you pose him to make sure that you don't try and, you know, break anything in the process. But Bandai did some cool things to try and make that a little easier for you, and I'll show you that in just a second. But the lightsaber itself is the here we go, the old Anakin saber with the clear blue blade, and here is the blast effect on the end. And this is attached to the training droid, which is very well painted. They did a really, really nice job with that. Everything looks really good on it. Yeah, I don't believe this moves on this axis or this one. I believe those are firmly glued in place. But that whole accessory can just slide right off the end, just like that. And be careful, because these are really, really sharp points here on the end. But yeah, this whole piece just pops right off. And you've got the lightsaber itself, and the blade pops out of that, and you can put that to the side. And then on the hilt itself, which is very well detailed and not flexible like the Hasbro version, which is a very welcome surprise, we have a little hole here, and it fits right into the peg sticking off of his belt. So you just pop that on right there, and then boom, classic Luke look. Very cool. And if you want to go pre-lightsaber, of course, you just pop that right back off. I'm surprised that they didn't do a deluxe version. They may have one coming, I don't know. But with his Tatooine hat and his big poncho and everything, the binoculars and his rifle and everything, it seems like it would be such an easy thing to do, but they haven't done it yet. So very, very cool looking figure. The head that's on it now is the pilot helmet with the blast shield down, if you remember him complaining about that. On the back here, that pops off very easily, you can see that his hair is sticking out the bottom, which is a cool effect. And also, because of how you change the faces, this whole thing pops apart. I've got his second face in there right now, which is just sort of a goofy smile, but definitely fits Luke from the first movie. That pops out so that you can change with the other face, should you choose. But then this whole part right here also pops out if you give it a little wiggle. There we go. So that whenever you put the 2 parts back together, it can just be a display piece on its own. So that's a pretty nice little feature. If you turn it upside down, you are going to see the hair inside there, the front part of the hair. To my best ability, I'm not able to get that out. I'm afraid that it's glued in there, but I can't really tell, short of, you know, heating it up and trying to pry it out really difficultly. So yeah. The other head that comes with the figure is a dead ringer for Mark Hamill. Very, very clean. The hair is less golden this time. It's still blonde. It's still got a gold quality to it, but they did a better job of putting a brown wash over it. So it definitely looks more like natural blonde hair color. So very cool. This is I think it was a car crash that caused his scars. So his face is in very good shape, and everything just looks straight up like Mark Hamill. I mean, you can see all the great detail they did here. This is a digital transfer, I believe, that they use, and it just looks phenomenal. Got a little bit of kind of pinkish coloring around the eyes. Not a lot, just enough to let you know that he is a human being and breathes, which is a lot to be said for most action figures these days, because usually paint is pretty simple. The whole head, woo, completely destroys your entire review. No, the entire head comes apart just like that. And the bangs here on the front, you can pop the headpiece out, just like so. And then you can put on the goofy looking face. And get that. See, there's these pegs back here. You just have to kind of click it down into place. And then this all reattaches. And boom, you got your new head. And it's Goofy Luke. So, yeah, Goofy Luke is funny. That part clips in a little better. There we go. But, I mean, like I said, it does fit the character. It's a good face. It's just really silly because he's kind of a dork in the first movie. So I'm going to pop that back off just because I want to have the good-looking face on the body here. So here's the good head back on the body. It looks really good. I mean, considering the proportions, this really, really looks like Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. They did such a great job. The cloth looks like cloth, the leather looks like leather, skin looks like skin. I mean, it looks like the character. They did an amazing job with this. The only suggestion I would have for paint is to tone down the glossy nature of the bandages down here, but I love that they did a wash on them to really bring out that gritty Tatooine look. It's just awesome. They did such an awesome job here. Tiny details on the belt are painted. The little canister thing he's got on his belt, I'm not sure what this actually is. It doesn't appear to want to pop off, so that does appear to be attached. But yeah, like I said, the leather looks like leather, buttons look like buttons. I mean, this is a great little figure. They did a really, really nice job. I already showed you the lightsaber and the droid and everything. He does come with a couple extra accessories. Packaged in the box, he's wearing fists. Very basic, you know, just fists. And then he's got a pair of relaxed hands, which I was planning on using the left hand on the bottom of the saber, just because it makes sword posing a little easier, because you really only have to like pose one hand and the other one just kind of has to rest there. But the hand isn't really wide enough to fit the lightsaber, so that wasn't really a good option there. I would like it if this hand was just a little bit more open between thumb and finger. But yeah, they look like really nice, relaxed hands. You know, there's detail on the fingernails and everything. They did a really, really great job with these hands. So very cool. The hands that are on him right now are both very wide open to accommodate the lightsaber, and they do so very well. So onto articulation. He is an SH Figuarts figure, so again, it might take a little while. In the head, we've got a swivel hinge joint, so it does move up and down on its own, if you can see that. And then there's a swivel as well. I can't see how it's attached, but I do feel like there's some swivel in the actual head as well, going from side to side. And there should be, because of the style of joint. It just didn't seem like it had a whole lot of clearance when the head is off. Up inside there, it doesn't look like there's a ton of clearance, but if you work it, yeah, you can get it moving. It may just be the neck, the thickness of the neck that's causing some of the issue, but yeah, you can get some motion out of that, so that's pretty good. Yeah, there we go. It's just a little stuck there. Very cool. Yeah, very nice range in that part of the joint. Unfortunately, you can't look up too far at the Tatooine Suns, but you can look up some. And then you can look down about that far. But because we also have a ball joint at the base of the neck, you can also look down that far, which is very cool. So side to side, you don't have a lot in the base of the neck, but overall, you've just got a ton of range on this entire figure. And of course, the chicken head that people like to do. So yeah, in the arms here, in the shoulders, we have some lateral joints you can see here, which are not super well hidden, but they did a good job of working it into the clothes and everything. So those parts move forward and back. Very nice, which is great for lightsaber poses. In here we have a swivel hinge swivel joint, so that he's able to go all the way around and go out to about that far. Very nice. And then swivel on this side as well. So very, very nice. We've got a swivel hinge swivel joint in the elbow as well. Because of the design of this, you can see there's some plastic there blocking it. You do not get a lot of movement side to side there, but that is kind of helped out by the shoulder joint up here. So I don't really consider that too much of a hold back there. I'm not sure why they didn't just go with double hinge joints. It may just be because they didn't want to cut out part of the sleeve. So that makes sense. And they did enough to really still give you some options, but you're not going to get double hinge range out of the elbow. So not terrible though. He wasn't super crazy active in the first movie, at least with lightsabers. Up in the sleeve, this is interesting, we have a ball and socket joint so that the whole arm up in there, hopefully there's enough light to see in there, you can see this whole bottom piece can move around inside the sleeve, which is very cool for lightsaber poses. And this is a kind of a flexible plastic, so you are able to move that pretty well. And then on top of that, we've got a swivel hinge swivel joint in the wrists, which means that you can move the wrist however you want to, because you can swivel it and then move it again and then swivel the wrist on the end. It's really, really well done. The only downfall I see in the wrists is that these are pegged on. Because of the ball joint that moves this whole section around, it can be a little difficult to put these hands in particular on. I suppose the fists are probably the same way. No, the fists actually aren't that bad, but these hands, because of how they hold the sword, or the lightsaber, they don't go directly into the wrist because they want the hand to be held that way a little bit so that, you know, you can get some more motion out of them. So they go up at an angle, so trying to pop that on at an angle while the other thing is moving can be a little tricky. Here, I got it on that time, but it can be a little tricky, so you just might have to work with it a little bit. It's not too bad. The other hands are very simple, straightforward peg hole joint, so they should be able to pop on pretty easily, just like so. So very nice. In the midsection, we don't have anything up in the torso, but in the waist, we do have a really expressive ball joint. You get tons of range there, no complaints whatsoever. I assume there's a joint or a ball joint here and here to accommodate that. We don't have the leg extension this time like we did on Ant-Man, so the leg doesn't pull up or down. I imagine that's because of the skirt, because they didn't have to worry about how much plastic they were cutting out to expose the joint. But you still get a decent range of motion. I'm not going to push it up too far because his lightsaber holder thing is in the way right there. So, but you get about that much, which is about 90 degrees forward. So that's pretty good. And then with the waist, of course, you know, you can bend it even further. So you get a very nice range out of that. Back, you get almost no range at all because of the way that the butt is designed. You can see the butt kind of comes down over the leg, so you're not going to get a whole lot of range out of that. And then, of course, you get swivels there as well, which aren't, you know, swivels straight across, so it's not going to get a full 360, but it gets enough for natural human movement. And then in the leg, we have swivel hinge swivel, but you don't really get anything out of the top or bottom swivel. It's really just meant to work as a hinge. It doesn't get a perfect double point bend to it, so they really could have worked in better joints there, but they decided not to. Since this joint is hidden on the back, I'm not sure why they didn't. They don't carve it out as well as the Figma joints do, because Figma uses a similar style joint, but they carve out more of the leg back here so that you can get a deeper stance, but it's really not bad. And then we've got ball joints similar to NECA in the feet, so, you know, you've got side to side, down, forward, spin all the way around and everything. Plenty of range there, and then hinges in the toes. So the ball joint in the feet is a bit strange for Figuarts. They don't do that, I would say, super often. They do it from time to time, but they don't do it a ton. I would have liked to have seen a swivel hinge swivel on that, just to kind of give a little bit more expression, but as it is, it's a very, very well articulated figure. So of course the big problem with buying Figuarts figures of Star Wars is that then you have to go back and look at your Hasbro figures afterwards. and get let down on a figure you previously didn't have that much of a problem with. But wow, just so different. Everything. Like, you looked at this head originally and you thought, oh, it's not that bad. It's kind of Mark Hamill-y. And then you see this and you're like, holy crap, what is this dumpster fire of a figure? Yeah, wow, so different. This is still not a terrible figure, but by comparison, this one just completely destroys it. The decision to go with cloth on this was widely criticized anyway, but now seeing how well it can be done without the cloth, it really hurts Hasbro in the long run. So yeah, the big difference, of course, is that this is a $20 figure, and this is about a $50 figure. I bought this from Amiami for about $50, and you know, in the US, you're probably going to pay more, somewhere in like the $65, $70 range, which, you know, still is a really good figure for the price. This is just such a great looking figure compared to what you're getting from Hasbro that it kind of, it's going to be worth it. And when you're talking about height-wise, they're right on par with each other. So this guy will fit in pretty well with your other Hasbro Black Series figures, aside from putting them to complete shame. So yeah, as I said, $50 for this figure. If you can get him for $50, he's just awesome. I mean, if you're buying this figure anyway, you're probably going to be a pretty big Star Wars fan. Otherwise, you'd settle for the Hasbro version. $50 to a Star Wars fan is sadly not that much money. It should be, but it isn't. For your $50 though, I mean, he is a better deal than the Ant-Man figure. You've got the extra headpiece, which also kind of works as its own accessory if you want it to. You've got the extra goofy looking face, which I still think is hilarious and looks really good despite the fact that it's a goofy face. You've got the lightsaber with the blade that plugs in. They opted not to give you two separate ones, one with the blade just stuck in place and one that was just the saber handle that you could plug in. And I think that's fine. It worked for Black Series. Why wouldn't it work here? So very cool. Plus it leaves a nice little hole in the end. It makes it look a little more realistic to the actual piece. You get the extra hands, you know, a set of fists, a set of open hands, and of course the holding hands. And then you've got the training droid effect piece, which, by the way, I didn't mention on the bottom, does have a hole if you want to connect it to a Tamashii stage stand. So that's pretty cool as well. I mean, you get a lot more for your money than you did with Ant-Man, and I already thought he was an okay deal. This is a great deal. The likeness, the sculpt work, the paint, the articulation, everything works together to make this just a really great action figure. I highly recommend it if you can get the chance to grab him. I think he looks even better than the ROTJ Skywalker, and that figure was already pretty amazing. So yeah, definite buy for me. And if you like Star Wars, this is a buy for you as well. So sorry about your $50, but there's worse things you could spend it on. You could be a meth head. You might be a meth head and be into action figures. You know, that's your prerogative. I don't judge. That's it for this video review. If you have any questions or comments about this figure, if you want to talk Star Wars, I'd be happy to. Anything at all, please throw them in the box below, and I'll answer you as soon as I can. Thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.